Let me know what you guys think in the comments if you got any changes to that team, and also get your score predictions in the comments as well. What's up guys, it's James from Cop Logic. Welcome back to the channel, and we have our match preview for match day 3 in the Premier League, and Newcastle host Liverpool at St James's Park. Newcastle looking like a real threat this season, so let's get into it and talk about that threat. So Newcastle so far, I'm not gonna look at preseason anymore. We're well underway now in the Premier League, so let's only focus on Premier League. Obviously, it's fair to say they absolutely demolished Aston Villa at home with a 5-1 win, and then they went away to the Etihad and lost to Manchester City. Now, I think a fair few teams are going to be losing to Manchester City this season, so how much to take from that, I'm not sure. Liverpool, on the other hand, obviously we had that draw against Chelsea and we beat Bournemouth 3-1, but we did make hard work of it for ourselves, as is typical of Liverpool lately, with a very shaky defense, but hopefully things are about to change. We'll get onto that with the team selection. But yeah, I think in terms of Newcastle, I think they are going to be a genuine threat this season. I think they're definitely vying for a top 4 space, and I think you have to say they're definitely contenders, as are Liverpool, so I think this is a big game for us. I think there's a big game for either team in order to send a statement, but I think this is huge for Liverpool. There's a lot of questions about Liverpool still needing to prove themselves, and especially if we're going to break back into that top 4 at the end of the season. This is a fabled 6-pointer, essentially. You know, these are top 4 rivals in terms of getting those places at the end of the season. So this is a must-win game for us. It's a must-win game for them, and we are away at St James's Park, so it'd be a huge statement for Liverpool to go there and beat them, certainly if we beat them comfortably. So in terms of head-to-heads, which we normally like to look at with Liverpool and Newcastle, it's a fairly one-sided story. Last time out at St James's Park, Liverpool won 2-0, which is definitely a good sign. There's not that intimidation there, although I do think it's a very intimidating stadium to go to. The way they put the away crowd up at the top there as well limits any atmosphere that the fans can create. So in the last 5 games, Liverpool have won 4 and drew 1, and it's probably worth noting as well, in the last 8 games, Newcastle have failed to win a single game. So definitely Liverpool dominant, but I'm not totally convinced that history is written by the victor in this situation, because obviously, as we know, Newcastle are a different team to the Newcastle of old and are a genuine serious threat. Now, they were a threat last season and Liverpool managed to get the better of them, so there's no reason to be pessimistic, but this is definitely a different team with much bigger goals and aspirations than previous years, so definitely going to be a tough one. In terms of injuries for Liverpool, I'm currently recording this before Jurgen Klopp's press conference, so I'm not 100% sure here on Curtis Jones, but I'm fairly certain he'll still be out because he's not appeared in training so far this week. In terms of Bajcetic wasn't pictured in training today. Now, I think that's probably just media duties, and I do expect to see him on the bench, but I'm certainly not expecting to see him feature in the starting lineup. And with Thiago maybe on the bench, I don't know. We'll wait for an update there from Jurgen Klopp before we know on that, but that does bring us on to our team selection. So let's go through our team selection for Newcastle away. So in goal, as always, it's obviously Alisson Becker. That's going to be a constant all season, I think, until we get to cup games. So yeah, Alisson Becker in goal, no contest. It's the same old story across the back, and again, I see no reason to change this as things stand. So we're going Robbo, Trent as fullbacks, and Virgil van Dijk and Ibrahima Konate as centre-backs. Now, in terms of Trent, I think every week so far I've commented on how it worries me about his progressive nature and with this new position, moving forwards into that double pivot and leaving us with that back 3. But hopefully things are going to change when we get into our midfield now, because we do actually have a central defensive midfielder, and I am backing him to start. I am, of course, talking about our new signing, Wataru Endo. We certainly didn't buy him to sit on the bench. We have no other options at the moment, and I think for his debut coming on and having to run the game there with only 10 men, I think he had a really good debut, to be honest. Yes, he gave away that dangerous free kick, but let's not forget he still needs to get up to speed with the Premier League. I think if you actually go and look at a compilation of the game against Bournemouth, some of those interceptions were world class. This guy can read the game, I'm telling you. I think he's going to be a really good signing for Liverpool, but this is a huge test, by the way. Starting against this Newcastle side at St James's Park with that atmosphere, you would expect it to be dead in terms of a Liverpool atmosphere, unless, you know, the Newcastle fans just don't show up. This is going to be a really tough game for Endo, but I'm backing him to get us through it, and hopefully this allows us to see the best of Trent Alexander-Arnold. And speaking of creativity, let's get on to the rest of our midfield. I'm going Dominic Szoboszlai and Alexis McAllister. Now, we are going to see the best of Alexis McAllister now. This is going to be a totally different player to what we've seen so far with him in that 6th position and we've seen in pre-season how good this guy can be when he's playing more progressively in the midfield. I know I've said this is going to be a tough game, but if we get this right, if Jurgen Klopp gets this team right, this could be a really fun game to watch, with Trent in a creative role, with Szoboszlai and McAllister in more progressive roles now. If Endo can lock that midfield down in terms of his defensive capability, this could be a really exciting game to watch. So yeah, I'm going Alexis McAllister finally in a more progressive central midfield position, and Dominic Szoboszlai. And then that brings us on to our forwards, where I think once again we have two mainstays on the wings, Luis Diaz and Mohamed Salah. Again, I think you're backing either of them to score. Both of them look to be in really good form lately, especially Luis Diaz. He's definitely undroppable on that left wing, and we have no one else for Mo Salah anyway, not that I drop him. In the wing positions, it's Luis Diaz and Mo Salah, and though the central defensive midfield position has been a point of contention for the last couple of weeks, I think now this number 9 position is the new point of contention, because we have now 3 options here. We got Diogo Jota, we got Cody Gakpo now that he's not needed in midfield, and of course Darwin Núñez. Now, I'm going to be honest, I don't think Diogo Jota has been setting the world alight. Like, don't get me wrong, he scored goals, but I don't think he's been setting the world alight with his performances. I've been backing Darwin every week so far, and I'm going to back Darwin again. I've been disappointed in Jurgen Klopp's decisions not to start Darwin the past 2 games. I understand starting Diogo Jota for the opener against Chelsea. Jota ended pre-season fairly well, but in my opinion, Darwin Núñez and Mo Salah together had the best pre-season as an attacking duo. I maintain that now, and I think that Bournemouth at home, season opener for Anfield, would have been the perfect game to start Darwin Núñez. It would have been the perfect game for him to bag a couple of goals, have his confidence up, ready for this Newcastle game. I think not starting him against Bournemouth, and not only not starting him, by the way, but only giving him 5 minutes. Jurgen Klopp put him on in the 85th minute, which I think is absolutely disgusting. By the way, I could actually probably do a video just talking about this whole Jurgen Klopp and Darwin Núñez dynamic that seems to be going on, but I don't think he deserves to be getting such limited game time that he is getting. Jurgen Klopp likes to talk about him not being defensive enough, but I think Jurgen Klopp as a manager, if he has any shortcomings, it's that he's very stubborn, and I think he's become incredibly comfortable with the Roberto Firmino role of the false 9, which we've seen him turn Cody Gakpo into, and I honestly just think Jurgen feels comfortable playing that way. I do believe Darwin Núñez was bought to give the team more options and to give us perhaps a different playing style, and I think we have the players to facilitate that as well. It's certainly in Dominic Szoboszlai and Alexis McAllister, their creativity, certainly in Trent Alexander-Arnold. I think if Jurgen Klopp could get it right, Darwin Núñez could be an absolute menace and a machine for this Liverpool side, but I think at times Jurgen is just too used to falling back into what he's comfortable with, and that is Roberto Firmino, which is what he's turned Cody Gakpo into, and for that reason I think that Cody Gakpo starts this game. So I'm going Cody Gakpo up front. I think that's probably the best decision. It's one that Jurgen Klopp will be comfortable with. This is going to be a tough game, so we probably want a system that we're all comfortable with, but I am disappointed that Núñez didn't get a start last week. If he'd have bagged a couple of goals, you never know where his confidence could be sky high, and he comes into this Newcastle game and absolutely tears it up. I do want to see him get minutes this week, and I'm not talking 5 minutes, I'm talking 20 minimum, but that's just my opinion. Anyway, that's the team I'm going with. Front 3 of Luis Diaz, Cody Gakpo up front, and Mohamed Salah. Let me know what you guys think in the comments if you got any changes to that team, and also get your score predictions in the comments as well. Speaking of score predictions, it is that time again, and you can see down below me we have got the win percentages. Now, for the first time this season, it is weighted in the opposition's favour there, with Newcastle on 43%, a draw at 25%, and Liverpool at 32%. To be fair, not a huge differential there. This is another game that, you know, you wouldn't be far wrong if you predicted or any of the 3 results. I think this is going to be a tight game. I think there's going to be a tough one away at St James's Park. Newcastle with a point to prove, but Liverpool have got a point to prove themselves. Do I back them to keep a clean sheet against Newcastle when they couldn't even keep one against Bournemouth at home at Anfield though? Unfortunately not. So I'm going to remain optimistic at this point in the season, and I'm going to say Liverpool 2, Newcastle 1. There's every chance this is a draw though, but I refuse to predict a Newcastle win. So I'm going Liverpool 2, Newcastle 1. Let me know in the comments what you guys think. And if you are heading down to St James's Park, make sure you're loud, because you are going to be up in the gods. And wherever you're watching it, enjoy the game. And as always, we will see you guys in the next video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Peace.